To the world.
We did it,
Wednesday
everyone.
night. It's Wednesday night.
New night just for this.
Just for tonight.
Just for this, because it was your birthday yesterday, and everybody was like celebrating across the world. It was a pretty big day.
It was a big day.
And then, everything was shut down. It was like Brent's day.
4 cities gave me keys to the city. It was good. It was good.
Yeah, not bad. And I got a new mic. I finally got my mic. My mic from Blue.
Friends, we are now powered by Blue. Look at us.
Totally. Look at these
headphones. It's great. All right, we got a big episode, man. Listen,
we should probably get going with it. Sorry.
We got a big episode. Everyone out there in Magic Land that's watching us on all the things, settle in. Yes. Settle in. We've got a great guest today. We are going to bring Dave Ellefson to the table, who is a bass player in MegaDeth.
Whoa, is he ever?
Ellefson Films, Ellefson Coffee Company, which is where we connected a couple of years ago. And we're going to talk about the release of his brand new horror movie.
Yeah.
So pretty stoked about that and a few other things. So we are going to bring Dave into our world for a minute here. And there he is.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen?
Welcome to the show, my friend.
Welcome. Yeah, thank you. How are you?
Kids on the escalator. Welcome, buddy. How are you?
I know. I'm doing the same. This is where we met was over a cup of coffee.
You need to send me those. You got to send me those for the Journey for Java podcast, which, I guess you're going to have to make 2 appearances tonight because I'll have to get you on that one later.
Nice.
Talk about your new coffee
starting
brand.
a podcast. I'm going to start it up, I think, in April. So I'll have to. Now it's my chance to go back and cash in all the favors for all the podcasts I've done, which have been many. But thank goodness, and I'm not complaining. I'm very blessed to be invited over to so many people's houses during especially during this last year. I mean, a year ago, none of us even knew Zoom existed, and suddenly, literally 11 months ago, right? I mean,
last time we talked, Dave, was on Zencaster, and that was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was like,
now we're like, what the hell is that? That's like old technology.
I think Zencaster just sent an email out saying, "Hey, we've added video," and it's like, no shit.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, I'm thankful for it, man. I'm not a fan of Skype. Zoom is awesome. I use StreamYard once in a while for some of the stuff that I do, which is cool. So yeah, look, I love it, man. Forward thinking, and as unfortunate as it is to have a pandemic, there probably isn't a better time to have one. At least we've got technology. We've got all that. We have Amazon. Can you imagine a pandemic without Amazon? I mean, wow. My gosh, I just ordered an air fryer today. I was I was at breakfast with a buddy of mine. He goes, dude, I just made a steak in an air fryer. I said, really? I've heard about those. He goes, man, I'm a bachelor. It's the best thing ever. You'll never grill again. It was the best steak I've ever had. So I was like, we're sitting there. I swiped over. Yeah, all right, I'll buy one. That's how it is. So,
yeah, it's quite. They'll change your life, man. No, we've got one too. It's
I have one as well.
It's a whole thing.
Nice. All right, good. Well, it sounds like it was the purchase to make today. So
you got it, buddy.
See, if it weren't for a pandemic, I would have never bought an air fryer. So.
Right.
So Dave, when we talked last time, you and I were talking about coffee, but we'll get into that in a minute. But I reached out to you about this brand new podcast that I've got with my friend Chris here. We're on a big network in Toronto called the Dean Blundell Network, and we do pop culture and different things. And you're like, hey, I've got a horror movie coming out, and I'm like, well, this is perfect. This just fits perfectly into what we're doing all the time. So, do you welcome to it and Dwellers? It sounds like you've been busy over the pandemic. So, what's going on with Dwellers? That's the name of the movie.
So, Dwellers. So, my friend Drew Fortier, who did a documentary film on a band called Bang Tango, and then ended up playing in the band for a short period. Creative little guy, good friend, lives over in Indianapolis. And so he started working on this found footage film, excuse me, that he said, he goes, think of Blair Witch meets Chud, if you can kind of get a visual of that.
Yeah,
right?
I got that vibe from it when I saw the trailer there, definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
So found footage, and so he brought it over to my world, and so we put together Ellefson Films as an imprint for this, and so this has been going on since, excuse me, maybe 2019, I guess, 18 even. Yeah, I think probably it kind of started in early 2019. And so it moved along, and just last weekend we appeared at Mad Monster HorrorCon down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they were kind enough to give it a premiere, and that gave us a nice kind of launch pad for it, and we've been accepted into at least a dozen film festivals, which is really great. And a lot of them are online now, which is fine with the pandemic, but just to be accepted, we actually won an award from Screenwriting Festival, and then Mad Monster gave us best horror film
Nice.
on Sunday. Yeah, totally unexpected. I was like, whoa!
Yeah,
I didn't see
congratulations.
that
That's
coming.
awesome.
Yeah, so thank you. So we have an award-winning film, which is pretty great. And it's funny. So today I was just on the phone with the distributor, getting that all locked up. Probably September, October release. We'll firm that up here shortly. Which is good for a horror film as you head into Halloween. That's kind of. It's like a Christmas album at Christmas,
Right.
So horror films work good around Halloween. So yeah, that's what it is. And so yeah, I'm Ellefson Films. I'm essentially the producer. Drew is the director, writer, star in it. I have a little cameo. I guess like Quentin Tarantino always has a little appearance in his films, or Stan Lee.
Yes.
Now I get to join the ranks.
There you go, buddy. That's awesome.
The elite. Yeah, so. It's clever, and what I like about the film company. Even when I was at Mad Monster, a couple people came to me and said, "Hey, you got a company, right?" So I said, yeah. So I might have something for you to take a look at. 5 years ago, I started a record company, EMP Label Group, and then we relaunched Combat Records. And I realized, it's people started hitting me up, going, "Hey, man, you got a label, and you can't put everything out. You got to be selective." But I realized it was a great opportunity to help friends out. Who had records, and as much for me as well, things that I produced, played on, wrote on, that I wanted to get to market. Anybody who's in the creative world professionally, we all dream these things up. We write them, we film them, we write whatever we do, record them. And then you're kind of going, okay, now I got to get it out. I got to get it to market. And in some ways, it's easier now because of the digital streaming. That makes it a lot easier for everybody. I mean, how you could put a movie up on YouTube, really, for all that matters. You could, I don't know if anybody will see it, but you can at least put it up there and promote it through your Facebook and your social media. So, I mean, to some degree, everybody can kind of do this stuff. But it's nice that with the film company and the distribution network that we have, to give these things a bigger look, and I feel make them legitimate,
It's you're putting yourself out there, Dave, with a lot of different products, which is great. I think they all cross over on one Ellefson festival soon.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe that's all right. You're since you handle production, take it away. Go for it.
Yeah, sure. Let's
Ellefson Fest.
Ellefson,
do it down near
Ellefson
you.
Fest. That's a good idea. We'll just keep it. I think I don't know if we'll put you on a cruise boat just yet, but we'll come up with a plan. There's enough people between the people we know that we could probably do a 3-day weekend in Arizona and make it happen.
We'll do Ellefson cruises in 2023 when we
go.
When people are going.
Yeah. Everyone's vaccinated and we can sail the high seas together. Watch movies, listen to records, read books, drink coffee.
That's perfect. And you got books and coffee. There's so much to cover. I don't want to take up your whole night, but Chris, so when I told Chris, I said, you got a horror movie coming out. Chris is like the massive horror fan. He's got Walking Dead all behind him there, all the rest of it. Chris, thoughts here?
I just wondered, if you had a favorite horror movie growing up.
Probably the first one. People ask me what's the first horror, and the first horror film I saw, and I remember going. So I grew up in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. We went just over the border to Iowa. There was down by Spirit Lake, Iowa. There's a drive-in movie theater. My parents took me and my brother there when we were really young, and then me and my brother went there with a couple buddies. And I remember seeing Alien, which scared the daylights out of me.
Nice.
But really, I think the first one was probably Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
I think that's the one. That's probably the very first one. I was thinking of some other ones. Night of the Lepus. Did you ever see that?
No, I'll have to look that up. I thought you were going to say Night of the Living Dead, but Night of the Lepus.
Night of the Lepus. This guy, this guy goes, he's in a lab.
Yeah.
And he spills this potion, and a rabbit, is in his office. He's got a rabbit in his lab, I guess, like any good scientist would, right? Experimenting on the rabbit. And he drinks the stuff and blows up into like a giant rabbit. And the lepus, they all start drinking this potion, and they become like 100 times their size, and they take over this town. And then another one was Tarantula, which was very similar to that. Mm-hmm. These are all old black and white ones.
Yeah, I remember. I've
that
a group of them, and I remember Tarantula. Yeah.
Remember Tarantula? Yeah, and they're
Yes.
walking across. There's like scary as hell. Of course, I always loved The Invisible Man.
Yeah.
You know, especially the original one. And certainly Friday the 13th. I mean, that's, as a teenager, that was the go-to one, because these, Alien and Friday the 13th. It means I was a kid when the first ones came out, so I kind of followed those franchises for a few of their follow-up movies.
Does it was the film completed before the pandemic, or were you guys actually filming during it and then had to do the whole post-production and obviously during the pandemic, or was it done?
Drew filmed most of it in 2019. He got most of it done. He had to do some editing. He had a little bit of more stuff to do on it. And he and I got involved on this book, Rockstar Hitman here, that I hit him in. We just put this out through the Ellefson Book Company, which you can go to Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com and they're, order them there, as well as the Kindle and the audiobook and stuff. But it's funny, I hit Drew knowing he had this film. I had this idea for, a rock star who gets to, signs a contract, which is somewhat ironic in a way that you sign a contract and then you kind of have to go to work for the man, if you will, you get to go be a rock star and you get to have all those perks. But, I thought in this one, the twist would be working for the man means working for a clandestine agency who you have to then go out and be a hitman during the day. Like that's sort of the price of fame.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is a whole other twist. So it's somewhat autobiographical in the sense of, kid from the Midwest like me, has a band working, has his plans set on after school to go out to LA, or go anywhere out of the Midwest, and suddenly this offer comes for him to go to California, and he realizes it was all kind of a setup, and so it's cool. And so I pulled Drew into that. I said, man, I need some good slashing and killing in this book, and you're pretty good at that. So
Nice.
so we collaborated on that, had that ready to go. We put that out in actually December. I wanted to get it out right before the end of the year. And then, Dwellers, again, Dwellers actually kind of the first thing. And then we did the book, and they released opposite of that. The book came out first. But the thing about Rockstar Hitman is that it's a series. So our character's name is Sledge. So we're calling it the Sledge Chronicles. So as he travels around the world, there's all sorts of international espionage and bad guys that he encounters. So
nice. That sounds like it would be a great comic book. Sorry, Brent. It sounds like it would be a great comic book.
Yeah, I think so. And it's funny, when we first put it out, people are like, oh my God, I see Netflix all over this. I'd watch this as a series, You got
to do a comic first, buddy. Like that's how it goes these days, right?
I know. First the comic, then the
yeah.
I think there's somebody on this call that actually draws comic books. So there you go.
Yeah, I have an independent comic book company. But that story sounds amazing. Yeah. So tell me, what goes on with the character? Does he evolve like through being a hitman and the band? What does he lean towards?
He does, and here's the funny thing is that there's a lot of life lessons in this, which is again, now he's in Hollywood, suddenly gets whisked into the tailwind of this success. He joins his band, they're ready to be signed. It's like, wow, dream come true. The girls, all the stuff is there, and he's a kid from the Midwest, so he's generally a good dude. He's not a prude, but he's a good-natured guy. He's not really, I mean, he's young, he's 18, 19 years old, falls into Hollywood. That part for me is somewhat probably autobiographical, actually.
Right.
But it serves the story well because, he comes out kind of unassuming, a little naive, and lands in Hollywood, and there it all is: sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I think what hits him is, first of all, the naivety, and then all of a sudden, when the gun gets put in his hand, like, here's your first hit, and you got to do it now, and the person that he has to take out, and the reality of it, and it's sort of like, hey, you signed the contract. It's kill or be killed, and not all of life is that, black and white, but I think in showbiz it is. You're standing in a high-powered office in Beverly Hills, looking out over the good life of LA, knowing on some level you've sold your soul for rock and roll, and And so there's some kind of double entendres with that.
Yeah, that sounds rad. It almost sounds like too that your character got to the point where he conquered being in a band and he's got that buzz of everything, like the drugs, the sex, and everything. And it's like now killing somebody, there's a different buzz. You know what I mean? Like going into the hitman world. So I like looking for layers in characters because I'm such a nerd when it comes to that. And that I could see the layers in that coming to life. That's interesting, man. I really dig it.
Yeah, and also just the psychological thing, like, am I okay? And the people I'm killing, they're scumbags. I mean, they're bad people. Right. Am I doing the right thing? I mean, I'm killing somebody, so I know that's not good, but maybe I can sort of minimize and justify it because they're bad guys. So maybe it isn't so bad that I'm taking the bad guys out. You know what I mean? So there's just, like you said, these multiple.
It's another
layers.
Layer, right?
Exactly.
That's how you. That's a comic book, buddy. I think that would be mint. I think that would be a mint comic book.
Dave, the funny thing is that you go. The funny thing is, Dave, is that you say that he has a hit and then he has to do a hit.
Yes.
Right. He does a hit and then he has to do a hit. 2 questions: does he play gigs in between the hits while he's over there? Does he take the band with him? And you said it's semi-autobiographical, biographical. So how many hits have you done?
The rock star part's the autobiographical part. Yeah. I mean, MegaDeth, look, we had Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. That was, that was a fictitious story, obviously.
Somebody somewhere's looking at your tour dates and tying them up to like mysterious deaths now, right?
He's coming to Des Moines. Who's next? And it is. And it's this double life. You know what I mean? Which, to some level, when you're a celebrity for at least even an hour on stage, and you don't even have to be a big band to feel that rush of celebrity and everybody's cheering your name and, you're the icon, you're the golden god for that hour. And then you walk off stage and, now you're a normal guy, so there's this double life thing that goes on, even more so because now the band doesn't know about what he's doing and he has to do it because, he's under contract with the band and over there. And then, think about how difficult it is to fall in love, so there's a little love interest that comes in and now he's got a third double life, because he's got to keep this love interest, and even, how close does that are they watching me? Like, they're I'm sure they're spying on me. They're probably in my phone. They know, so all this stuff and it just, and just the mental mind scramble of it all was fun to write, because
you could take that so many ways. Like you could take that so many places too, my friend. Like, wow, that's great. Yeah. Really cool.
And it was great to work with Drew on this stuff. Drew's got a great mind for Drew's a great left turn guy, they're going, whoa, wow, that is awesome. I would have never seen that coming. And so he would surprise me and we'd have some good laughs over that. So it's, it's fun to have I like collaborating, bands are not solo projects, and even if you are solo, you're never really a solo project. It takes everyone around you to make it happen. So I like the collaboration.
Nice. Well, it sounds really cool. I really like that. Yeah, so the book is available and there's an audio book or available as well. And
audiobook. Yep. On Audible, which is the Amazon platform.
Yeah. That's what I like is the audiobooks now. I love those. Those are great. So it's just
sat here on this microphone and read the book.
Nice. So, that's awesome.
Yeah. In fact, it was funny. So a friend pointed out, they were talking about how comfortable I was reading certain parts of it. Like they were probably the autobiographical. And I've written 2 autobiographies, so I've read that story. It was my own story, not a fictitious character, but there's some familiarity to it. And it was interesting how they noted that when I talked about, in going into the sort of the new life, the killing and an unfamiliar life for me, obviously, that should be noted. How the voice transitioned. And so it's, it's an interesting thing and which is probably good because there is an uncomfortability in the narrative. The story gets our character Sledge is suddenly uncomfortable. You know what I mean? So it's interesting reading. It's one thing to read your own autobiography because it's your own life. So in some way you're sort of telling your own story. But this book is written like an autobiography because it's written, Sledge is telling the story. So it's written like a fictional autobiography by the character himself, which we enjoyed. We toyed with that, should we write it like how you would write a Jack Reacher book where it's Lee Child, the author, telling the story with quotes from the characters, or do we just write it from the character's POV? And I enjoyed doing it the autobiographical way. I think it's easier to get inside of his head and sort of feel the emotions and go on the
Do you base it on, obviously it's somebody you know, which is you, but do you base it on, like, for casting, like when you write it, do you write it as a book? Do you write it thinking it could be a movie, or as Chris said, a comic book? And then do you have a character,
right? Animation,
like a character in mind, like like a rock like star that you know, or you're like, or an actor that you're like, oh, this guy would play this perfectly, and I'm going to write it around this idea of this person. Do you have that in your head, or do you just tell the story?
It's funny. The cover's picture is actually our friend Vin Dombrowski from the band Sponge.
Oh, okay.
Because me and Vinny and Drew and our friend Mike Heller, who plays drums in Fear Factory, we actually did a record together last year, and it'll at some point it will come out around the next book. There's a little bit of a trail over to Dwellers with this group. So rather than putting on a new band, we're going to go take over the world. It's almost like this book and Dwellers have a soundtrack already built into it with these songs that we wrote. And Vin actually went into the book, some of the narrative out to create some of the songs. So it's like a book with a soundtrack. If you can imagine that.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I think that's a super clever idea. Bringing the two medias together, right? Of pop culture. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think Chris can comment on that too, because metal fans are so loyal, Dave, to your products, and obviously you launched the coffee brand and you got the book and all the rest of it. But metal fans, when they love a band and they love the guys and girls and everyone involved in that, you really have created an ecosystem here.
Yeah, it becomes your lifestyle, you know. Like when I was a kid growing up, man, wearing the Megadeth patches and guns, like all that stuff, man, that was like, you know, Testament and everything. That was like my lifestyle. That showed everybody who I was and whether you could come up and talk to me or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it is. It's sort of publicly saying, you know, I always say every time I do like bass clinics and stuff, I say, you know, we're the black t-shirt crowd, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, you know, there's a style, you know what I mean? If you've got like a logo or, you know, something on your t-shirt, it kind of, you're sort of a billboard that says, you know, you said it best. This is who I am, you know? And if you know, that's how I met one of my best friends, Greg Handovit. And he had just moved into town, Jackson, Minnesota, this little town I grew up in. And I was becoming a big Kiss fan. And I overheard him in the hallway saying something about Kiss. In fact, I think he was saying, you know, in the back of Kiss Live, it says Kiss used Gibson guitars and Pearl drums because they want the best. Mm-hmm. And either one of us was saying, we walked by each other, and one of us was saying, Kiss used Gibson guitars. And the other one said, and Pearl drums. Like it was sort of, we finished each other's sentence. We've been best friends since that day. And that was 5th grade in elementary school. And we were just, you and I earlier were geeking out over your Gibson Ripper.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny you mentioned that. I loved Kiss when I was like in grade. Like I saw them when I was 7 years old, the Dynasty tour in Toronto, the last one with Peter Criss, right? My parents took me, Maple Leaf Gardens, and I wore Kiss. Like I say, Megadeth, everything. Like I wore everything on my sleeves because I loved it so much. And man, did I ever get hassled in the little town I was in because I liked Kiss, you know what I mean? But then you find that other person who gets it and you're going, what's your favorite song by Ace Frehley? And, you know, they can actually, you know, shock me. Whoa, you know that he actually did that song. And then you start to, you know, and then we all saw the Phantom of the Park, and it just, then people were kind of like, well, you know, maybe they're okay. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was always, when I was young, that's how I bonded.
Phantom of the Park should go on my list of horror films.
There you go, buddy. Yeah.
It really should. And we all know and we all admit it was, even the Kiss guys, you read their books and they're kind of embarrassed by the movie. In fact, I just read Peter Frampton's memoir, and he was talking about, After Frampton Comes Alive, the biggest selling album ever in the history of the world to that point. The biggest one, beyond the Beatles, everything. Yeah. And then, you know, he didn't have these songs to follow up the record. So he had one of the greatest success stories and one of the greatest crash stories. And he openly admits it. He's obviously come to terms with that and reinvented himself and come back from that all these years later. But it's funny, he talks about doing the Sgt. Pepper Lonely Heart Club movie, which with him, the Bee Gees, who were huge because of Saturday Night Fever, you know, these big stars going in to make this movie that was just a flop, a total dud. And on the set going, this sucks. Like this you can just tell this doesn't feel right. This is not, we're not at one with our audience. We're not in our own, you know, moment here. So, but yeah, Phantom of the Park, dude. I mean, come on. If you're a Kiss fan, that goes in one of the greatest movies of all times, even if it really wasn't.
Cheers, buddy. Yeah, here, yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Right. We'll drink to that. There you go.
Definitely.
Dave,
I agree.
When I was younger, man, Kiss bonded me, and then later on, it was that like more of the Megadeth Slayer metal that bonded me with other people, because I was a step above, Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue and everything. You take it to that next step, right? And especially when that was when I hit high school, and that's when I really wanted people to know, no, I listen to heavy metal. I'll be in the smoker section. Stay away.
And the funny thing is, over in high school, right? And well, the funny thing is, many fans have told us how they got thrown out of school wearing a Megadeth shirt. And we didn't have any vulgarity. Like, we never used F words and stuff. Guns N' Roses would, they would, guns, F and Roses kind of stuff. We never did that, but we'd have pretty graphic stuff. So, man, we'd always hear like, oh yeah, so, I got sent home from school because he had a Megadeth shirt on, and then, here we are all these years later, and Kardashians are wearing Megadeth shirts. Not that they know who Megadeth is, but their stylists seem to think it was cool.
Dude, that must blow your mind when you see these,
Well, like when Lady Gaga wears a shirt, she's a rocker, you know what I mean? And she's a real musician, and the Anthrax guys are friends with her. So she knows what's up, but it's like a lot of the other, so she's a pop icon who actually has a musical sensibility. But certainly, the National Enquirer cover stories, maybe not so much, if they're wearing a Megadeth shirt, or they're wearing a Megadeth shirt and they're getting thrown in jail or something for a DUI, that's probably not so good, right? It's rock and roll, right?
It is.
Dave, we'll let you go soon, bud. I know you're going to run. I got just a couple things for you, note-wise here. Musically, you put the solo record out last year.
Right.
Megadeth probably on hiatus right now while we're getting through the pandemic thing. But are you keeping busy musically right now?
Yeah. And I was actually just recording a little snippet for the Megadeth record earlier this afternoon, and finishing it up. I mean, it's final stuff, kind of lyrics, vocals now, solos. The final bits are being put on it. And so that's been working, hovering away in the background, even though the touring's been shut down. We've been working hard on that. And yeah, you're right. I mean, I did the, this Ellefson no cover record that I put out, which was a bit of a pivot, because we were originally going to go put out a solo Ellefson record of original material. And when everything shut down and there's no touring, we just thought, what's the point? So we quickly just banged out 18 cover songs, which, believe it or not, what we did in like a month. Like, we literally recorded them and had a bunch of guests jump in and do that. So that was a fun thing. That came out in November. And I've got, the other original Ellefson record in motion as well. A couple of other things that should be coming out this year that I played on. I don't do a ton. I've only did one kind of YouTube quarantine jam. I know those are kind of popular. A lot of my friends are doing it, but I think in our case, with having the record label and that, I'd rather make masters, and have those live forever in the archives of my discography, rather than, and that's maybe a little old school, but I like having it. I think that's kind of forever. Not that YouTube video isn't, but I like doing that. So, and I'm always writing. I mean, every day I'm in here, I'm writing, I'm recording. In fact, I played on an Ellefson track yesterday. I played bass on a brand new one that our guitar player Andy wrote. So I just played bass to that, sent that over to him in Italy, which is the beauty of Dropbox and WAV files and the digital world we live in. And then I got another song for a couple buddies that hit me up that I'm going to play bass for them on something. So yeah, I mean, I've got a bass in my hand pretty much every day, writing, recording.
Our buddy Todd Kearns sang with you, yeah?
Oh, Todd's just amazing. Yeah, he's singing. I wanted to do, so I went back. The first song I chose was "Wasted," which is why, by Def Leppard, which is why we did an homage to the "On Through the Night."
Yeah, "On Through the Night." Yeah, I love it.
But then as we were going through it, I picked let's do Auf Wiedersehen, AC/DC, let's do an old cut riff raff, stuff like that. And then, I went deep. I went into Not Fragile by Bachman Turner Overdrive, that record is the reason we're even having this conversation, because before Kiss was Bachman Turner Overdrive. And that record got me into this whole thing. It's what got me into bass. It got me into heavy music. And that song, I mean, that was the song one, side A, opened with a bass line. And so we put that on here, and then Sweet FA, because that Sweet Desolation Boulevard record, man, is just iconic in my world. And it's funny, that picture of them on the cover is basically Sunset Boulevard. So I remember when I got to LA, and I remember seeing almost that exact thing, that Arco's still there, Gil Turner Liquors, Tower Records is right there. You know what I mean? Just seeing like, oh my God, this is the cover of the Sweet album right here. So I wanted to, cover that song. And Todd was gracious enough to do it for us. And what a singer that guy is.
Yeah.
He just posted something the other day about a new song he had coming out, and I tweeted at him. I said, "Stop being the busiest guy in the world so the rest of us can get in on something." And he's, but it sounds like, Dave, you're the second busiest right now because you're doing which is great.
I mean, that's what we do, you know what I mean? And it's fun because look, we've all got a lot of energy. We're all, it's what we do. We don't, obviously this isn't profit motivated stuff. We're home. You see what we're really made of, I think, when this pandemic hit, our profits have been left on the road. So, but, and everybody's doing some podcasts, or doing kind of finding new ways forward. But, the truth of it is all these things are done as a labor of love. You're seeing our real heart center. You're seeing what we do. Us from records and being rock stars on big stages and all that kind of stuff. But, here we are at home, just like everybody else, doing podcasts and making coffee and making records and writing books and, films and whatever stuff we do. And this is what we get up out of every morning and pour a cup of coffee and our brains start working. And this is what we do.
Guys, I've mentioned coffee. Ellefson
coffee. Yes.
But I always mentioned we're going to look back on this time and think of how much time we had, and that you get and the creative people like yourself really come to the top here, and it's cool to hear all the rad stuff you do. I wasn't too privy to the book. I knew basically everything you were doing except for that book, man. I'm still. It's funny because I love that kind of thing, right? My brain's still. Still turning on that whole story. And that's really rad. So I got one question for you though before we go, if I can. Spider-Man or Batman?
I'm a Batman guy, and not the movie version. I grew up watching the campy, 60s TV.
Oh,
version,
I know, man.
Right?
Yeah,
that's the one for me. I mean, and it's funny. I'm more of a DC Comics guy, and it's funny because MegaDeth, we're launching a DC Comics comic book. But I'm much more Superman, Aquaman. Those are just the things that were on Saturday morning TV for me. After Bugs Bunny or whatever. But that's the stuff that I was into probably more than Marvel. However, we all know when Kiss put their own blood into the Kiss comic book.
Right.
So, and look, I'm a Captain America guy. Of course, we love Iron Man, all the stuff. So it's all part of a big family. But yeah, it's funny when you kind of go back and you think of what you grew up on. I was probably more of a DC Comics guy. Right
on. So every comic book fan who's listening right now was waiting for me to ask you that question, right? Marvel or DC, basically, they were all waiting, right? Because you got they're all on one side of your ears right now. You just don't know it.
It's like MegaDeth or Metallica, right?
Yeah,
the age-old question that people. And it's funny, I have Metallica records, so I'm both.
Nice, buddy. That's cool to hear, though. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, of course.
Wait, it was another. Was it Brent Fitz or Todd Kearns that had the Iron Maiden Judas Priest? You couldn't like both of them when he was younger, wherever he was living, right?
Really?
You had to pick between Iron Maiden or Judas Priest.
Yeah, so which and again, I grew up I grew up on a farm in Minnesota, so I was like, whatever I could get. As soon as Black Sabbath showed up, Ozzy or Ronnie Dio, I didn't give a crap. Give me all of it,
Yeah.
Scorpions, Def Leppard, Motorhead, Venom, Maiden. It's like I'll take all of it just to fill me up,
Nice. So, I love that. Yeah, a sponge, right?
I didn't even know you could have a competition. You know what I mean? I was like, to me, metal. There is no competition,
right.
It's like it's at that moment. Are you going to be a jock? Are you going to be a square? Are you going to be a druggy dropout? You're going to be a musician? Like, what do you, kind of what's your path?
It's like somebody saying to me, are you really telling me that you're hearing too much metal, that you need to have them fight each other? What are you talking about?
Yeah, metal is like a forbidden word. And if you said it, no, I think I was talking to, it must have been on this podcast I did last night. somebody mentioned that. He said, when bands were little, like when I discovered all these bands, Def Leppard, Cheap Trick, AC/DC, they were little unknown bands. And I was like the first guy, me and my buddy Greg, the Kiss hallway guy.
Yeah.
He and I, were the first two guys. Oh, dude, check out this new band, AC/DC. And then, when Back in Black came out and then they became everybody's band, it wasn't as special anymore, And, as soon as he started playing the stuff at prom and like girls are dancing to it, it's like, all right, now I've lost my underground cred, so you got to go back down into the rabbit hole and it's, oh, dude, Motorhead. Oh, yeah, it's,
Mm-hmm.
So, and then all of a sudden everybody loves Motorhead and they're like, now the t-shirt's probably more famous than the band, so it's, but it's fun. I think in our world, I think we're like that with the movies, with horror, with books, all this stuff, we're the kind of people that we do these deep dives to, it was mine first. I was the first guy in town to have it,
How about WKRP? Did you? Oh, sorry, one more, Brent. WKRP. Yeah. Did you used to watch WKRP?
Oh, come on! I had my Lonnie Anderson poster over my bed.
Oh, my wife's name. Sorry, my wife's name's Lonnie, and same thing. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Go. Yeah. And it's funny because then I moved out to LA and Jim Ladd, who was the DJ of KMET and then KLOS, the two big radio stations out there, and you could tell, what was the guy's name? The real cool late.
There was Johnny Fever.
Johnny Fever, yeah,
Dr. Johnny Fever.
Yeah, Dr. Johnny Fever. You could tell he totally got that shtick from Jim Ladd. That's totally where.
Wow, I'd love to meet that guy. I love that show growing up. Like that was. I have all the DVDs. I've seen them over and over. The thing though about the music that they had originally, they've changed some of the songs, and when you watch it back, because they didn't have the rights to some of the songs, it totally takes away from what was going on. It's amazing how important the music was to that show. Still amazing, but you really notice when it's a different song.
And probably the other one was One Day at a Time. I mean, Valerie Bertinelli, come on. She was like, and it was the same thing like with Gilligan's Island. Was it like Ginger or Mary Ann? You know what I mean? I was always a Mary Ann girl, and I was always a Valerie Bertinelli girl. And then, of course, Lonnie Anderson comes along and changes the whole thing.
Yeah. She comes in with an even better chord structure. Oh, my God, how'd you do that? Yeah.
And then her icons like Mary, though, like Burt Reynolds and Lonnie Anderson and like Eddie Van Halen and Valerie Bertinelli. It's like that just made Van Halen even cooler. It's like, this is how rad this guy is. This guy landed the hottest chick on TV. He's so freaking rock. Yeah.
I thought that was amazing too. And the two of them together, they look like such an amazing couple. Really cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were like rock royalty, So.
Yeah.
And Kelly Bundy came along and messed it all up.
And then Kelly.
And that's funny. I know. And it just totally just dumbed the whole thing down. You know what I mean?
Dave, Ellefson, thank you so much for coming on today, man.
Yeah, buddy.
Listen, you're welcome to come back anytime. There's so much more to talk about. This podcast is built for what you're doing, man. So come back and talk about all this stuff. Why don't you let's direct everybody to everything you're doing.
Sure. There's lots DavidEllefson.com is where pretty much all of it pushes through. MegaDeth.com, of course, for what we're doing over there. EllefsonCoffeeCo.com is where you can buy your coffee.
Nice.
Ellefson Films is where you can get more information on Dwellers, and the Ellefson Book Company is where you can find out about the books.
And that's amazing, dude. I'm stoked on that.
Just throw it in Google; it'll all come up.
Cartoon,
Amazon, or wherever you need.
Nice.
Yeah. And we'll talk more about that comic book idea.
I would see.
I'm on the show. Chris is going to draw you.
Yeah, see, I've my whole life, I had a music school. I have a music school. I still teach, but I have that, and I've always drawn like commissions for people. And I finally decided over the pandemic to put out an independent comic company. So it's like music and comic books, buddy. Like either of those is all I can talk about. If people want to talk politics, I got nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I was with some guys yesterday and I'm like, what are you guys arguing about? It's like talking about the weather. It has no effect on you and there's nothing you can do to change it really. I mean, so I know I stay out of that argument. I find it very boring, to be honest with you. I'm like, whatever. Let leave that for the people that wanted to be like student council and
not in the smoking section. Yeah, so I would love to hear more about that comic book and more about the whole all that music stuff, man. Wow, I could chat for hours with you, my friend. I really, really appreciate meeting you. I'm a fan from way back. As I say, like you guys labeled me as who I was when I grew up, man. And I can remember when the Rest in Peace album, man. Holy, like just phenomenal. As a guitar player and musician. And then now teaching that stuff, it's staples, like just staples that kids have to learn if they want to learn metal or.
Well, you'll like the new MegaDeth record because I literally A/B'd some stuff against Rust in Peace, and there's stuff on the new record that's faster than Rust in Peace.
Nice. So. I know you must get sick of hearing about Rust in Peace, but it's such, it's a great album. But I do want to hear the new stuff as well. I will. We'll talk about that later on in another episode for sure when it comes out.
That's how Chris let me in his band, Dave. Back in '94, he was like, "Do you like MegaDeth?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, you can play drums."
Right.
Peace Cell, or was it? Yeah, Wake Up Dead. Wake Up Dead back in the day was like just the riffage in Wake Up Dead. But yeah,
Thanks,
I'm old
David.
school, buddy.
Awesome, guys.
It's great to meet you, Dave. Thanks so much, pal.
Much. Yep. See you, Chris.
We'll talk again, buddy. Come back anytime.
Bye.
Thanks.
Sorry, I had to geek out there at the end there. I was really trying to contain myself. That was awesome.
Hey, everybody, that was David
really
Ellefson.
Trying to contain myself. Yes, it was.
Talented dude, man. He's doing a shit ton of stuff. Comic book. Well, he's not the comic book yet,
he
but
should.
He should do a comic book down the road. We know a guy, but regardless, it sounds like he said he's got a MegaDeth comic book coming out on DC, which is going to be deadly because I'm a DC guy. So
that's Vic Rattlehead, isn't it? That's the Vic comic, the MegaDeth one.
That's what's coming out. That's what he said. But yeah,
but I don't know if he's like if that's his
book. Yeah, it's just a MegaDeth one, not this one for the.
Oh, that book he wrote is sweet, dude.
Yeah,
I always complain about layers,
a lot of
right?
Stuff, man.
Yeah. Sorry.
So speaking of independent films, we got to get to some stuff here. So anyone that's watching right now, Chris and I are going to go on a little bit about some horror movies, but we can just talk about music and a few things here. But our friend Mark, who was on a couple of weeks ago, heads up the Kingston Canadian Film Festival.
Yes,
it starts this Friday. And they are giving us some passes to give away to you guys. One pass will get you into 6 films, which is going to be rad.
That's awesome. Are you kidding me?
He's given us 2. So basically he's giving us 12 films for free. So for people that are actually, tuning in and watching right now. So if you guys feel like winning something, we're going to keep an eye on the socials. And why don't you go to the Dean Blundell Twitter page right now where we're broadcasting live.
Let's hit Dean up, my friends. Dean.
And tag Dean and tag us.
Yeah, let's harass Dean.
Your top 5 horror movies. And we're going to pick 2 people tonight or by Friday. We'll see how it goes.
Dean should pick them. We should get Dean in there and he can pick them.
Dean's sleeping. Remember, it's 9:00.
I know. I guess he is sleeping, isn't he?
So anyways, we're going to do
Dean.
Go in there and leave us like your top 5 horror movies. We're going to kind of leaf through there and we're going to announce the winner. And we may announce it tonight or we may the audio version of this is going to come out on Friday. So, maybe we'll announce it Friday, but we're going to keep an eye on the socials. So your mission, if you're listening, watching, doing anything to us right now, go on Twitter, find Kids on the Escalator, find Dean Blundell.
Dean.
Way you go. And write in your top 5 horror movies.
Let's flood Dean's Twitter with horror movie requests.
And I'll watch my Facebook. You want to put it there too. You want to put it on Chris's, whatever. However you got to get the information to us, we're going to be paying attention.
Here's a good way to get my attention. With what are they called? GIFs? I'm not very good with lingo. Where they move around and do stuff. And it's like, so if you like put a cool GIFy or whatever movement thing of something of your favorite horror movie too, that's really going to catch my eye. Just throwing it out there.
So you got a fancy new mic there and some headphones.
I do. So Blue microphone, is that? I don't know.
Blue Microphones is officially powering the Kids on the Escalator podcast.
Yeah,
through our friends at Dean Blundell. So thanks, guys, over there.
Yeah, that's why I want everybody to harass Dean now because he's such a nice guy by getting me this. So the only thing we can do is flood his Twitter account.
That's all you can do.
Don't personally email him or mail him, but just put it on public.
Just put it on there. So this is we've been talking about this. I've been talking about it. If you listen to me over at the
this is sweet.
Kids on the Escalator podcast, Lonnie is asking about Dwellers. No, we're gonna post the trailer for Dwellers. We've already posted it on Twitter today, but we're gonna wait to find out what our friends at YouTube think about it.
Because they might cut us off.
We don't want to get pulled down again, like our friends at the WWE like to do to us.
Is Vince McMahon involved? Because
I don't know. Is Vince McMahon produce it? We'll find out. So anyways, Blue gave us these mics and now everyone on the network is pretty close to having them, which is pretty rad. And we're all going to create some cool stuff. We got some fancy headphones there that say Blue. So it's legit shit right there. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. So our producer here too is, what? Pardon?
So much less wiring.
Oh, yes. Thanks. So from a producer's point of view of doing our show, so a couple comments after getting our Blue, I need more details. So this is Blue microphone.
Yeah.
But what else is, I thought it was
these are the Mix-Fi headphones, and this is the Blue Yeti X.
Blue microphone Yeti. Now, from the producer on this side, now here's one thing that I've noticed about our podcast. Yeah, I just sit down in front of this thing. You'll see my guitar ones, maybe some drawing ones, whatever. Me just sitting here drinking some beverages and chatting with amazing people like Dave. My wife deals going on now. So from her point of view as a producer, what Blue has done for us is pretty large. So I'm giving you the Aussie hand with my Deadpool wedding ring salute. Good times, rad dudes. There it is. So thanks, Dean.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Thanks,
it's
Blue.
awesome. We've had some good
Thanks,
good stuff.
Super
And we're going
Zuka.
to create some content for them. Down the road as we go.
Yeah, give me a script, or I can do something really funny.
I had a
At least
script.
I'll think it's funny, right?
So we talked horror films.
Did we ever? So one more second is just I just want to.
Yeah.
So flashing back on who we just talked to here again was like, because like if anybody's listening who went to high school with me, I was not lying there, man. I was the long-haired metal kid with the Megadeth and the Metallica, the Testament. I went to the shows, man. I lived and breathed. I played in bands since I was a little kid. There's photos of me. That was pretty cool. Like that was like I think I posted online that 18-year-old Chris is freaking out because he gets to talk to the bass player of Megadeth. Like that's nuts, man. Like
but,
how big that.
Let's touch on that for a minute, because people, I don't think or forget about what music does as far as soundtracks go. So music plays a soundtrack to your life regardless of whether you listen to it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen is in 10 years from now, or even 20 years from now, when my kids are 30, and 33 or whatever, they're going to listen back to what, whatever was on the radio right now. And we're going to sound old here right now.
Right.
And we're going to be like, all this shit on the radio right now. But regardless, they're going to look back at that, and it's going to provide a soundtrack for them as to they're going to remember. And almost every single song for me leading up to when we started the band, that whole time from being in the band, and then it really, music just in general, it got real kind of weird and shitty after like around 2002 to about 2000. And I'm just saying, everyone was kind of on there. Like, it just got a little bit weird. I know like it just seemed to slow down. And I know there was a whole bunch of music, and that particular time, I'm like, outside of maybe the Pantera record in there that was there or something that was kind of like, that's when I started moving backwards and going, well, I'm going to start just listening to the old shit again, because there's nothing new for me to listen to. And now I'm listening to shit tons of new stuff, which is...
You're talking metal, though. You're not just talking music in general. You're talking metal.
The music in general. And metal for you, I'm just saying that those records set your life soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
In high school. You can listen to any song from that genre and go, oh, fuck, I was in the field in London drinking... Dropping
acid, and I was in a pit. I've actually done that. Well, one comment that I liked, and this is one thing that runs true. Sorry, my nose is just the cat hair here. When we do the pod, I'm always grabbing my nose. When we do the podcast here, Brent, we have to turn off our air purifier because it's like, it makes a loud noise. So the cat hair is actually really driving me nuts, just so you know.
All over you.
So 1 second. Okay,
Talk
much
about
better.
Soundtracks.
Here, right? There you go, dude. Okay, I think I cleaned it out. So here's the thing. Here, dude, so let's look at Brent Fitz, who's been on here. Let's look at Todd Kearns, who's been on here. I'm trying to think of other ones. I don't think it was as much Jeff Pierce from Moist, maybe Chuck a bit. But the Kiss thing, holy cow, we got to do that Kiss episode, right? So one thing that just I loved, man, like I actually I got to watch back and see how my face looked when he mentioned that he basically found his best friend or somebody who made him feel like he was normal when he found his fellow Kiss fan.
Yeah.
And again, like if anybody knows me growing up, I didn't have that Kiss fan, and he found that. Like, that's really rad. Like, I had some people that would tolerate Kiss. And then when I hit high school, of course, but when I was really young, like what he was saying, man, that's awesome. But that's when I knew that, I'm not, it's funny because you look back, it's like, wow, that guy has done so much and still is. And I felt exactly like he did when he was younger. And that's kind of a cool thing that makes you feel okay. You know what I mean?
I didn't have a ton of Kiss fans in my life growing up. Jason Parson was one. My good friend Barry Ross was a massive Kiss fan, and that was great. Jason and I used to walk around Caesarea with a ghetto blaster blasting Ozzy Osbourne. But but Barry Ross was like the real hardcore Kiss fan that I knew. And then Rob McEachran, who we went dressed up as Kiss, and my cousin Terry. But he was the guy that brought me into Iron Maiden, brought me into MegaDeth, brought me into Priest, brought me into sort of metal. And then from there, I went right to his basement, Otto's jacket basement that he had that the night after Metallica at the CNE in 88 on Justice. Oh, yeah. And I remember being like, holy shit, I just saw Metallica. Oh, well, then you got to check out this and you got to check out that. And it was like this, that's where I got flooded with all with the everything and Megadeth stuff, and it was great. So Kiss it's funny how the connection is between a lot of people.
Old Kiss too, like not like
old, yeah,
like because that's when they had the makeup on, it was the whole thing, like, and that was the thing that I put up with was like, they're all show. Kiss is all show. And it's like, have you not listened to like Kiss Alive 1? And even if they overdub some stuff, did you not listen to the first Kiss album? Any of the albums, man, the solos are great. The structures are great. The vocals are amazing. I don't know how that just blew my mind. And it's funny too. So Dave is DC. I would have called that. Would you have called that?
I mean, I'm so used to everyone saying Marvel on this podcast. Right. That it definitely surprises me when someone says DC. Oh yeah. Which I'm happy about.
Do you like how I approached it? Yeah. No, but I didn't directly ask him Marvel or DC. I said, Batman or Spider-Man. And that's how you do it, brother. That's how you do it. Okay. So my fellow podcasting friends, when you go into a conversation with a famous person and you want to ask them something, don't go Marvel DC because it's too big lakes. Break it down to two little ponds. You'll get your answer.
Two tiny little ponds.
Right. As tiny as Spider-Man and Batman can be, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Stoked.
And everybody's looking at my Walking Dead #1.
How much is that comic worth without having someone break into your house?
$20 million.
$1 million.
I have no idea, buddy. I have no idea. But I got some. My favorite one though is the eyeball one there with Rick in the middle of it. That's really cool. And then the only one that's not Walking Dead is Fright Night, and that is was redone. And who was the actor that played the guy in Fright Night? Colin Farrell. So that's actually Colin Farrell apparently on there. But before he played the role. So
we don't talk about Walking Dead much on here. I bailed after season 3. It was getting a little bit like these guys are running away from zombies. There's no swearing. I don't believe it. But I also was getting a little bit.
Wait a sec. So here, this is awesome.
I was getting over it a little bit, but I want to revisit it.
I do
where
too.
Are you at?
No,
where
wait.
At with Walking Dead?
We got to bring the producer in on this because she is such a connoisseur. Yes, because I have to use the facilities. So we're gonna get the producer in here for 2 seconds. Yep, come on, Lonnie, and she's gonna answer this. Do we really care whether she's prepared for this, Brad?
Not at all. No, I'm not. I don't care. No.
Seriously, well, we already got headphones.
Yes. Hi.
But you don't have Mixify headphones from Blue Microphones.
No, but
you got Larry's headphones.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I don't even know what these
Anyways, Lonnie, so I bailed on Walking Dead after season 3, but just because it was like, all right, there's a bunch of other stuff coming out, and these guys they're not pulling me along anymore. I mean, I loved it up to season 3, but then it was starting to. I said to Chris as a gag, like with Showtime and some of these other things, like if a zombie's chasing you and you can't swear, I don't believe it. I just can't do it. I can't. Yeah. It's not the 50s anymore. We're in a different kind of state of television. You need to be able to listen. I'm watching Superman and Lois or something coming up. I don't expect, I feel like I'm in a comic book. In this particular case with Walking Dead on TV, give me a swear or two, something realistic. When a zombie's biting on your leg, you're not going to be screaming at the top of your lungs. Yeah. Where are you at with Walking Dead?
I mean, Walking Dead season 3. So that was like the prison years.
Yeah, out of the prison, and then I think maybe I made a bit into the town. Maybe the next season.
Alexandria.
Yeah, I think I got a little bit into there.
It gets better and better each year, honestly. But I haven't seen the last 2 years since we moved out to Kingston here. So, curious because it was kind of iffy on the way because I think Robert Kirkman was in help writing it near the end there.
Well, there was a switch there, right? Wasn't there a switch after season 3 where the showrunner left and then it kind of changed a little bit? I thought there was a switch in texture or something.
Like a producer or a writer?
In season 3?
No.
Like after season 3, I thought there was like a switch that everyone was complaining about after season 4, maybe, or season 3, where people were like,
there was, well, Gimbel took over more, right? And Kirkman was in there less, who created it.
Maybe the one lady left.
Scott Gimbel.
Angela King, I think her name was. Maybe?
A lady left, then she came back, and she started working on it during the Whispers era.
Oh, okay.
But the whole deal with Gimbel and being, as I was gonna say, because we complained about it ourselves. Especially knowing from the comic book side of things, and knowing the TV show that we used to watch religiously, is you could really tell when Scott Gimple would get in there. It's a Gimple moment. Look at that. Like,
it's almost like that Hollywood director that wanted that mechanical spider.
Yeah, dude. You could see the moments. Like this girl, okay, what was Herschel's daughter's name there? Beth. Okay, so Beth makes it through this like 4-episode ordeal with this cop lady in you'll get this. So Beth, this one character, Beth, makes it through this whole ordeal, like a month-long thing of her being trapped by a cop and a bunch of doctors. So by the end of it, her crew comes to rescue her, Daryl and Rick and everybody.
Spoiler.
So this is old. And so what Beth does, instead of going with her group, she pulls out a little knife and tries to stab the cop, and the cop shoots her.
She dies.
And of course she does, but like, so she went through this whole storyline trying to stay alive and being really smart. You're like, wow, she's not a stupid blonde girl. She's very smart. And then at the end of it, she pulls this little jackknife, dude, and tries to stab in front of everybody.
Yeah. But the other storyline was better. Like her storyline.
You just gave me a great idea for an episode. But, stupid TV and movie plots.
Yeah, dude. How bad is that, though? So here's the thing. They insulted the viewer, invested all this time in this, and this one bad decision just threw everything we watched away. And the group is just like looking at it like, well, I guess we better go now. What? Oh my God. Okay, so there you go, Lonnie.
But season 3, where you left off, was actually a really good season.
I love season 3. I think I had intention. I think I had intention
season 2
going further.
Yeah, because season 3 is with the governor. Now, actually, in the comic book, the governor is way more vicious than they showed
Lord.
in the TV series.
Yeah, to kill Herschel off and stuff. I mean, I don't.
No. It's what he does to Michonne, dude. In the comic book, dude. Oh,
I'm just saying. I only saw it as far as like Herschel.
Oh, when Herschel got noggin, and it was somebody different in the comic books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was Tyrese in the comic book.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, they switched it. Yeah, because Daryl's not even part of the comic book.
No.
Like that whole But I don't know.
I gotta watch it again. There's just so much to watch.
Well, as I say, like you can tell by the comic books, we were the Walking Dead duo there, because if you go to the Chris Machete show, we're on there as a couple talking about all these shows back in the day, right? Yeah. And the governor, it was at the governor's stage that we were doing at.
Well, that's the stage that he was
right?
at.
Yeah.
No, I think we were doing
well, the governor was in there.
I remember doing someone at Terminus.
We did it from the governor to Terminus anyway. But I'm still see, I put it on occasionally. Upstairs, and I enjoy it again, but it makes me want to play Dying Light.
It's not so much about the zombies after a while. It's about surviving the evil people.
I never thought it was about the zombies, to tell you the truth. I mean, I know it's about the zombies, but I never felt. I thought the one cool thing I loved about it was like, yeah, it's a zombie thing, but there's all this other stuff going on around it. But then I was I was like, man, like, I don't know, they lost me somewhere in there, and I want to go back because you guys were so far in, and I'm like, God, I gotta find a way to get back to it. But there's just so much other cool shit out there right now.
Yeah, you just got to start. Well, see, I have such a casual lifestyle while I'm working, but I can have a TV on, which is really cool. So I dive in. So
maybe the fact that there's no swearing and stuff like that. Maybe I can bring it and let the kids watch it. Yeah, maybe we'll do some kids stuff.
I don't know, man. There's some adult situations.
I know.
There's some situations that would be uncomfortable for you.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I know.
But no, Walking Dead though, dude. Yeah. So,
I'll find my way back.
Yeah,
I'll find my way.
Yeah.
But it's cool that Dave had that horror movie come out. I definitely want to. I was kind of trying to poking around at where we could actually watch it, but it came out on the film festival last week. Reminder, everybody, we are giving passes away to the Kingston Film Festival.
Oh, and wait, I think I might have found somebody who won some tickets.
Oh, really?
Jay was that Jay that sent me something there or no? Yeah. Pardon me? Yeah. Did he enter the contest? Okay. Well, Jay Panasico, man, you were like the first one that hit me up here. No, I don't know if Jay said, he was just waving and waving. Jay, high cuts and jeans. Laugh out loud. Good one, guys. Yeah, so he's commenting on the 80s, right? With high cuts and jeans. Oh, Jay.
Well, that's not going to get him tickets.
No, it isn't, Jay. I was just about to give you the pat, and you could watch these at home, like all these. It's right, Bradley. You don't have to come to Kingston. It's all online.
No, it's all online, man.
It's all online. So you get these, and dude, they're good movies. Like I went not last year, but the year before, and watched the movies, and man, they're fantastic. Like independent movies. Like think of independent music, man. There's so much great independent music. Jay, damn Jay. Oh, Jay.
Well, we've got time. We'll push this to Friday. But anyways, everyone watching and rewatching, you need to leave us your top 5 horror movies, and we're going to pick 2 people. You are going to win passes to the festival, which is going to be exciting. So,
oh wait, somebody named Lonnie Cochran.
Wait a minute.
I'm totally joking. Or was it Gary Cochran? I think Gary Cochran. Yeah.
Gracious
he
Gary.
sent in here. And Gary Cochran's favorite horror movie is Wayne's World. Wait a minute.
I like that movie with the monster that walks around.
Wait a minute. That's so we're gonna have to disqualify him too. Sorry, Gary Cochran. If you're watching, I'm really sorry, but Wayne's World is not a horror movie.
I think Dangerous Dorothy put him up to it.
She might have. Mm-hmm. She might have.
Yeah,
she might have. Yeah. So what? Again, we is The Shining a horror movie? Yeah. Yeah.
It's a thriller to me. It's a thriller.
Okay, we're saying thriller. See, producer back in there again. She wants back on the screen. Did you get me my mug of fantasticness?
Listen, to me, horror. I understand that horror films take like certain forms and shapes, but the core of a horror movie to me, or the difference between a thriller and a horror, is a thriller can be gory, and you can be like Cape Fear, The Shining, kind of like, someone's still chasing you, which isn't too different than Mike Myers from Halloween. But the difference to me, horror movies still have a feeling of, I don't want to say supernatural, but there's a certain amount of like haunted house, someone rose from the dead, monster, something paranormal.
You just kind of named everything that's in The Shining.
Right, but that's the horror. Yeah, but then The Shining to me is like The Shining to me is still a thriller. I like the
I'm with you. I'm with for different reasons, but I'm like when somebody says what's your favorite movie, I go to The Shining because I love that movie, dude, for so many reasons. But when somebody says my favorite horror movie, it's not even in the mix. You know what I mean?
Because I think of like it's taken on so many amazing things. For me, like, is The Exorcist a horror movie? To me, yes.
Oh, geez, yeah, because
it's paranormal, and that's the scariest movie of all time to me. I think it's just insane.
I guess some people look at it, if there's horrific events happening, then they call it a horror movie because in The Shining, the blood and the twins, and there's horrific events. But no, I find it more suspenseful, especially the way it builds, like the way Jack goes crazy with it. But that's like psychological, probably like you can't pick your favorite movie either, can you? Can you really pick your favorite movie
of all time?
Yeah, like can you really pick one? Like just all over. Like just okay, man. Here's the one movie that is my favorite movie, and I'm gonna put it on a pedestal. You know what I mean? Like it's like picking your favorite song. Can you really do that? Oh wait, I did pick my favorite song though. Do you know what my favorite song is? I'll go back to the other thing.
Okay, hold on.
My favorite song.
We're talking all time that you can put on any time.
I actually have. I just burned myself there because I do have an actual all-time favorite song.
Oh fuck, that's gonna be tough, man.
I do really.
It's gonna be tough for me because it's gonna be Asia or it's gonna be Van Halen, or it's gonna be Kiss, or it's gonna be
Nope. I'm not talking to Lonnie. Lonnie, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to.
Favorite song, dude.
I'm living in WandaVision here sometimes, Brand.
As long as I've known. I mean, you have these moments of like favorite, but all-time favorite.
All-time drop dead.
Yeah,
favorite
you're gonna have to lay it out. I'm not sure. That's
really.
Oh, my Sharona.
My Sharona.
Yeah, you said that. You said that before, I'm sorry.
Said
that before, and I. Yes, sorry, my Sharona.
I gotta
But,
contain myself there.
fucking
Sorry about
aliens,
that,
yeah.
dude. New
Yeah,
mic,
yeah,
just
yeah.
learning the.
Yeah, I get it now. I got confused because last week when we were talking Tarantino flicks, you
Yep.
were talking about Stuck in the Middle
Oh,
and how that came out of nowhere. I'm just saying how that song came out of nowhere, and I'm like, I completely forgot
But,
about it. My Sharona, you've been dancing around since.
Oh, dude, My Sharona. The riff, the solo was fantastic. The vocal hook, you know what I mean? But I can't pick my favorite movie though, which is strange. Oh no, wait.
Movies are so
Star Wars: A New Hope. Just because of what it did to me when I was a kid. Maybe I can. I guess you know what, dude,
It's
and maybe
tough,
just
man.
because of after talking to Dave and everything and being so confident in myself now after learning how successful he is and being himself with labeling Kiss all over him. Yeah, dude, I think I can now. So I would pick. Yeah, I would pick everything I mentioned there. I think I can. The
Shining and My Sharona.
Yeah, The Shining and My Sharona. The Shining's my favorite movie. No, Star Wars is my favorite all-time movie. Star Wars is my all-time favorite movie, and My Sharona is my all-time favorite song.
There you go.
I think I did it.
Tougher for me. I have different timings. Well, like anything. Like I discovered a lot of movies late. There was some stuff movies I just can't not watch when they're on. Or
well, no, that's okay. It doesn't have to be like original theater movies. Like see, because I think of Star Wars, I if I put myself in the spot where it's like, okay, I got about half hour, but I'm gonna fall asleep. I want to watch any movie I could watch, or if I'm stuck somewhere and I've got absolutely nothing to do, and I watch Star Wars just to try and pick out more little Easter eggs and things or whatever, right? You know what I mean? That's probably what I would do. And then album wise, oh wow, there's another one, Brent. How about an album? Oh, I'd go Kiss Alive 1. Sorry, there we go again. Boom, I nailed it.
And you know what? Yeah, again, that's a tough one because there was ones that changed the whole thing. Oh man, there's so many different. It's like what we talked about before with soundtracks about movie songs and albums that came along at different parts of my life. Because the first time I heard, or saw Metallica live, all of a sudden Justice became my favorite record.
Really? Wow.
But then I had to go backwards and then rediscover the catalog. But then because you know me, like I'm way younger than you and everyone else that ever comes on this show. I'm a little behind. I'm a little bit behind behind on the thing. So I was a little late to the thing. So by the time I got lucky because Motley Crue's first record.
So you have less musical knowledge than me, is what you're saying.
You know what? Let me say this. I would probably agree on the great stuff. Yeah. I would agree on that side of it because I came in. Around. I was late to Zeppelin. I was late to all these things.
That's just
I was
I'm
late
totally
to Zeppelin.
joking.
I was never a Stones guy per se.
There was all this. That's funny because I haven't either, and that's part of the things we gelled at so well in a band. I don't know if it was when we gelled, the three of us, when we started Mr. Machete with you and myself and Dent, was what we liked. It was what we didn't like that we bonded over the most. I think that was the funniest thing, is like we couldn't hang out with these kind of people. We didn't go into these kind of bars. We didn't listen to this kind of music. You know what I mean? Like we stayed away from this.
The crazy thing is I was like a massive, like, when you met me, I was heavily into a hair band kind of era, but I mean the heavy music side of it was only, I would say, since 1988, 89.
Well, you were into things. When I first met you, you were into things that I liked 2 years ago, and I was just waiting for you to catch up. You know what I mean? Because I was living in the Toronto area and then out in New Jersey, and I was, Green Day. I heard Green Day before. I came back to Canada with Green Day, and everybody's like, "What? What the hell's that?" And then what's about getting high? It's about Green Day. It's about getting high. It's like, oh, they're cool then, right? I remember. Do you remember when I first came to the area with Green Day, and people were like, "Who the hell is Green Day?"
We started playing Green Day songs, and I think that's what was the fun part. And the thing is like. Yes, and we all liked kind of different things.
But I liked what you liked, but a few years earlier, like Skid Row, Pantera, man, Stone Temple Pilots, like the original Stone Temple Pilots. I can remember listening to that back in when I was living in Ingersoll, just visiting back and going to the strip joints and girls just starting to dance to it. Wait, so what do we call those now? We don't call them strip joints. We call them
gentlemen clubs. And they were just starting to dance to the whole grunge thing, right? Like, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, all of it.
Yeah. And then a girl would come out and dance to Pantera, and you'd be like the guy in the Max L commercial.
Totally. Well, it was tough. I think Motley Crue's first record for me always holds a thing because it was the first album I ever bought, Too Fast for Love. Number two.
Wait, sorry to interrupt you. Album? Like record?
Record, yeah.
Nice.
I had it on record and cassette.
Ooh, okay. You got the best. I respect that.
Yeah, I had a record and cassette because my dad had a record player. And so I had Joan Jett. Yeah. Coincidentally, I'll have to bring that in. I'll have to bring the show and tell next time, but I have I have a 45 that's I don't do the autograph thing. The stuff I have here has been autographed by bands, but I didn't seek it. But I was on tour with her a couple of years ago, and I was like, listen, this is the first album technically I had was this 45 with Joan Jett. And she signed both sides of it with like a full-on script. It was killer. And so there was that, and right into Motley Crue, Too Fast for Love. And then I got obviously the radio cassette. And as I said, Jason Parson and I would walk around Caesarea. So you had to get a cassette. And I had that. And so there's a bit of that. And then how could your first record not be a Zeppelin record? How could it not be a Rush album?
Really?
A Rush album. No, I'm just talking. I'm just talking in general. How people would be like,
that's not
should be like this. But I'm like, no. You know what? It was just where it was. I was 6 years old. Too Fast for Love. The record, when you read the story, was made for like $800. It's amazing to me. And I remember I had an opportunity a couple of years ago to drive Nikki Sixx around.
I was going to say that's Nikki Sixx's like.
Yeah, and we had a really great chat on the way back, and he had a great Prince story, and then he had a great Prince story, and then he had a great he actually was in the back seat, and we were driving back from downtown Vancouver, and he's like, do you have any Motley Crue records? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, dude, like, of course. And I'm like, Too Fast for Love is the first album I ever bought. And he said, is it a punk rock record?
Oh yeah, we've talked about this before.
Yeah,
dude,
I said 100% it's a punk rock record. $800. I said it's my people would argue the most polished record by them is Feel Good. The when they were at their thing, they were sober, the whole rest of it. But all of them in the house, that one, but yeah, all of them in the house, $800 making that record. It's very much like Nirvana's Bleach, and people I want to make that compare.
Dude, that album,
I love that record. I love that record.
Doesn't that describe it right though? Magic, like because they did it in so short a time, and it's beautiful. So when you first got, did you hear any of the songs before you bought the album?
No, I did not. What? You know what actually did? I did not actually hear that. My cousin Terry gave me the
older guy. I remember him.
My cousin Terry gave me the record. Like he actually gave me like a record. I think I bought whatever. Like that was
so you didn't buy it? It was given to you?
No, I bought that off of him for like $2 or something, or $3. Because he was just like, he wants some.
Okay, wait. So you didn't go? No, but this is important. So you didn't go to an actual store to buy it?
No, but I had this one because it was like I love the cover of it. I know it's like the leather pants and it's all the rest of it, but it just looked really, really cool. And I was I was like, this is cool. And I for sure would have heard probably Live Wire off of it because he was playing it all the time. But he was playing it all the time. But definitely, and then taking that and getting it in cassette form because my, wherever I went, they didn't
portable,
have
and plus you were living in two separate homes. That's understandable.
Yeah, so I would take it with me everywhere, and so that Too Fast for Love record for me holds a substantial amount of like.
That's awesome.
Weight for me.
So the reason I asked whether you bought it from a store is because the first time I went out. Okay, so this is dating myself here. My first musical experience was an 8-track, and I still have it. It's Love Gun. All right. So moving on from that, we went to, I believe it was Woolco in Woodstock. In Woodstock. Okay. This is Woodstock. This is Woodstock, Ontario, Canada. This isn't Woodstock where Jimi Hendrix laid his stuff down and was amazing and all that happened. This is Woodstock, Ontario, right by Ingersoll and right by London, Ontario. So this is why I was asking that. So we went to Woolco, dude. And again, I'm like 7 years old. So I don't know what grade that is, but that's a little nargan. So, and things were different back then. So we hit Woolco. My mom gave me a little bit, gave me $10 or whatever to get a record. And I went to get a record and she come back to meet me later. So I'm looking at the Kiss album. So it was like, Kiss Alive 2. Whoa, there's 2 records here. So I'll get twice as much. And there's a booklet included. Sold. You know what I mean? And then I took that home and dude, you open it up and you read these letters from the Kiss guys saying they're from outer space, and you pull out the booklet and you're just like, you're feeling it, you're watching it, and you're looking at the pages. But me skipping through all those albums, man, and wondering, because I had Love Gun, but only on 8-track, and that experience of just being like, holy crap. And there was a lot of Kiss albums. I remember just like, which one should I take? But I decided on Kiss Alive 1 because it had, there's more sound. There's 2 records, right?
Yeah.
And apparently I got it for around $10. So there you go. I'm dating myself without saying that I'm like, what? Pardon?
I took Alex to buy his first record, and I was like, if they have Kiss Alive, go get that. So,
right. And then did he do that or no?
Yeah, he did. He's got it. He's got a pretty decent little collection going.
Nice. Kiss Alive 2 is great too, like as well.
Mm-hmm. It's such a, it's tough to categorize things. You can go on for days as to favorite movies and stuff. I mean, definitely that, Too Fast for Love for that.
I went off track. You start talking about Kiss, man, and I'm like,
movie wise, I'm like, I'm profiling as a dude here, but I love The Godfather 1 and 2.
You were a big Godfather advocator. That's right.
Yeah, Godfather. I mean, they're all kind of one movie to me. There's that side of it, but then
Thanksgiving Day movies, right?
Yeah, there's some other cool stuff,
but not Star Wars, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Empire Strikes Back for me is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Well, no, I mean like all-time movie, like just all-time movie.
No, I love it. All time. Again, the first time I saw Empire Strikes Back, my dad had to pull me out of the theater when the walkers are in Hoth.
Oh,
apparently I freaked out. He said he freaked out. And I went totally nuts. I was a little young.
No.
So then I had to come back around to it. But I mean, it's in like top 3. Empire is like in my top 3.
I don't know if you've ever told me that before.
Yeah, I was. Well, when did that come out? 81.
I don't know, man.
It was 81, right? It was around the same time I got Too Fast for Love.
That's funny that you could handle Motley Crue, but not Star Wars, huh?
Yeah. Apparently my dad said it freaked me out, but it made me suck it up and go back in. I think.
So when you got Too Fast for Love, was Shout at the Devil available as well, or was this like?
I believe it was. Well, I was Shout at, because I think Too Fast for Love was 81, right? And then Shout at the Devil was 83 or 84. So I think I was probably. Well, I remember it. I remember being about 7. So yeah, I'm guessing Shout at the Devil was probably available because I was a huge Motley Crue fan by that point, like 7, 8 years old. I remember I didn't. The funny thing is, I'm not going to get too inside on people that have no idea what we're talking about. But when I moved to Caesarea, the first person I met was Donnie Hughes.
Hey, Louie.
Lou. Shout out to Lou. He had to walk me to the bus, right?
What?
Like, yeah, because where we lived, you had to walk like 10 blocks up to where that Sam's Pizza joint was. That's where you had to catch the bus.
Oh, okay. So why did he have to walk you though? So nobody beat you up?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Fucking. Let me get into that.
All right, sorry, I thought I was kind of kidding.
No. Fucking. I got a list. I have a list of you fuckers from Caesarea.
You're not getting into any shows.
Anyways, but Donnie would walk me, and he would walk me to school, like just hey, and then we would talk music. And have you ever heard of Quiet Riot? And he'd show me. And Donnie had a massive record collection. Him and Marv had like the massive record collection, and I would find some amazing albums there too. So by the time I was 8, I was around Donnie and Marv and like my cousin, and we were listening to metal and all this great stuff. So I'm sure there's some killer records there. And what was amazing at the time is that Columbia House was on fire then.
Oh man.
So Jason Parson had every record. That's where I heard like Heavy Metal Shuffle and like Balls to the Wall and all these stuff and Kick Axe and Accept. And I'm like, every week or every month, Jay would have a new record.
He still owes the money to this day.
We all do.
He's still trying to pay them back.
We all do. But anyways, yeah, man, I could get into days and days and days of movies and stuff, but Too Fast for Love by Motley Crue. If we're going in sections of my life, I've got about 10 that represent each section, which I'm sure you do too. So,
you know what? I'm a seasonal musician. I like certain music for certain seasons, especially like when I'm outside barbecuing in the summertime. I love to crank up the punk pop, I'll get some Newfound Glory, some Salads going. That kind of style, old Green Day maybe here and there. And my go-to though, whenever I'm barbecuing, If You Want Blood, you got it.
You got it. Yeah.
AC/DC.
Well,
I'm a meat eater.
Never wrong. Never wrong.
You're not a vegan, are you now, or a vegetarian now?
I'm a lot of things, but no.
You're not. You still eat meat though, right? Oh, I'm just checking. I just checking in. Just checking in.
Yeah. I mean, I do. I don't eat a lot.
I know you quit drinking, right? Like you've been sober. You've been like totally
Yeah.
sober for like how long now?
2 years and a bit. Yeah.
Whoa. Wow. And is your wife like, dude, you are so boring?
Probably. There's a really good chance, because she's like, let's go.
And you haven't even gone the way of like, now that it's legal, you haven't gone the way of like experimenting with all these rad new cannabis strains that are out there now.
No,
like
you know what? You made me some CBD when I was coming through the process.
CBD is great. That's different though.
CBD when I was coming through the process, which I'm doing that a little bit to, but no, I just had, I haven't, and I spent a long time on tour where I was like, I need to not do it anymore.
Yeah.
And then now that I'm pretty confident if I was still drinking during the pandemic, it would have been rough.
Oh, well, yeah. I
like
can see
it
that.
just would have been rough. And especially getting sick and having to isolate for 14 days. I'm like, just keep bringing the Jameson up and I'll just keep watching CNN. All right. But I just,
so the secret to fighting COVID is drinking Jamesons.
That's what they say.
That's the Canadian cure, my friends. There you go.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years, but I'm pretty much over that part of it now.
Cool.
I'll be finding.
As I have a sip of my wine.
I'll be finding medicinal options for better sleep, which that's the next thing on the list.
Oh, there you go. Again, you go to the proper. I did a show with Dean there on the Dean Blundell show.
Yeah, I saw that.
And we talked with I lost her name there because I talked to so many darn people, man. Like I'm doing the film festival that we're giving the tickets away for. Yeah. I'm doing a comic book workshop, Lonnie, next Saturday.
So it starts on the 26th, so it's got to be within the next 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a week from this Saturday, and I'll post more. I've been posting information. I just, I can't remember what it is, but I'm doing that coming up. And then the Kingston Historical Society has got me doing comic book lessons there as well. Both comic book lessons, so no guitar stuff there. But you suggested some stuff. You guys were talking about there was all these different strains and things. Obviously I got the lung thing going on, so I've never been much of a guy on that regard. So I'm gonna have to settle into like a CBD that'll like take some of that. Okay, well, you're gonna appreciate this story. Okay, so check this out. So my mom, who's probably watching, excuse me. See, I'm not good with ages. I'm not gonna say her age because I know she's watching. Excuse me. But she has a bad. What's that?
Dangerous Dorothy.
Dangerous Dorothy. Okay, so Dangerous Dorothy, my mom, has a bad knee, and she's gonna get a kick out of this. So, my daughter Taylor, her granddaughter, works at a cannabis shop, right? Like a legal one. It's a really nice one in town. Triceps and Triclones, family owned. Great place. Always bring home treats. Anyway, sorry. So my daughter put together, she always gets these, she's employee of the week or the month, and she got this big bag of all this stuff. I was just like, it was like a grocery bag of CBD and THC things. So she was picking out stuff that she thought would be good for her grandma, for her knee and for everything going in there. And we gave her a little gel cap pill that we didn't realize had a lot of THC. Sorry, Mom. So it's just funny though. She hit me back though, Brent. She's like, yeah, that little gel cap, maybe I was a little too relaxed. So my question is, can you be too relaxed when you're a retiree? Like, I thought she'd be more like, that was amazing. I was so relaxed. I sat on the balcony in the middle of a winter storm and watched the squirrel. But no, I'm just kidding, Graham.
I remember having, and you know me, I've never been much into that world very much, but just because I just haven't found really my world there. But I'm just kind of, but I remember one night I had let's say a product that was to help me sleep a little bit. And
it's legal. You can talk about it.
It was on during Ant-Man, or it kind of kicked in about halfway through Ant-Man.
Okay, so you got to tell us what you're doing here, because it's illegal now. Wait, a cookie or something, or a edible?
Yeah, I think it was probably a half a cookie or something.
That I gave you? Wasn't one of mine.
No. Ooh, this was here out this way.
Okay.
And I remember just like being like, yeah, it's fine. No, it was a gummy bear. It was a gummy bear. Okay. I remember having a gummy bear, and then I remember sitting there watching Ant-Man, going, "Oh." I remember my wife looked over and she's like, "How you doing over there?" And I'm like, What are we watching?
It doesn't sound like you were too relaxed.
I was in the movie. Anyway,
so wait, you were relaxed, or you were like, I got to get the hell out of here?
I was in the movie.
Cool. Oh, that's awesome. So you felt
I was
like
in
you
the
were
movie.
like shrinking down like Ant-Man and.
No, I was in the movie, but it was, so I haven't been able to find my way that way. That's another. Okay,
but your recommendation for my mom is to take another one of those gel caps and watch Ant-Man 1 or 2. Which one was it?
Put them both on back at the same time.
Okay, there you go. So there you go, Mom. So we'll give you a couple more of those pills, and you'll just sit down and you'll binge watch Ant-Man 1 and Ant-Man 2, and you'll feel right at home. Everything will be good. Your knee will feel better.
Sounds like something we should broadcast on Twitch.
Yeah, you'll be good.
Sounds like something we should put on Twitch.
I would love to do that. I think that'd be fantastic.
Hanging with Dangerous Dorothy, watching Ant-Man, fixing her knee.
Gel caps. Yeah.
Friends, it's the Kids on the Escalator podcast, and it's been a killer episode with one of Chris's favorites. I was very stoked that David said he would come on, and Dave, I can't thank you enough for that.
Yeah, Dave, that was great. I was really nervous about that, to be honest with you. I was like,
we were talking coffee a couple years ago with his Ellefson coffee, and it went from there and formed a bit of a friendship there, and great guy. And so make sure you check out everything Dave, the movie Dwellers, Ellefson, all the things he talked about, Ellefson Coffee Co., Ellefson Book Company, EMP is record label. There's new MegaDeth coming out. There's so many things happening there. I mean, we're going to have him back because there's just too much. We'll probably have to bring him in on the KISS chat with Todd and Brent and everybody.
That would be cool. Bring him and Todd, and that'd be, we got to do a KISS episode,
Brent,
right?
Fitz is playing with Gene Simmons, so that's great.
Yeah. Well, so we need to do a KISS episode as well, because I think that'd be like that's what bonds me with like all these guests we have on here, right? Is their KISS stories, which are fantastic.
So that'll happen.
Really cool stuff.
Down the road. So that's what's going on there. Let's get to you. What's going on?
Okay, so Skeletron 2 is finally done. We're gonna put that out. We'll put that out on March 1st. So it's looking like every 2 months we're probably gonna have the comic book out. As I say, I can't hire anyone. I'm not making enough money. So if you go to my Patreon page, that'd be great, and we'll get there. The printed copy's on the way. We found the printer that we want to use. Yeah, dude, it's coming. There's so much I want to tell you about the next issue, but I don't want to give it away,
There's guitar lessons on the way. Plus you're with the Kingston Canadian Film Festival.
Yeah. We're doing the workshop coming up there. What else? And the Historical Society's coming up there. The guitar lessons every Monday night. And then, and Friday night, I have to talk about WandaVision on Friday night because mind-blowing. Such a good show.
Chris did a really great breakdown the other day. I sent it to everybody that had and even after that episode, I put it on and was like, all right, guys, let's dive in, because we dive in a little bit later. Now, we did the 1 to 3 review, the 4 or 5. I think this is 6 coming up. No, we did the mid-season review. That was 7. So we've got 2 more episodes.
I'm sorry. See, we're not going to get back at it till it's done. And as I mentioned when I do the smaller podcasts on, is that I kind of got to pull my punches when I'm doing the show with everybody, because nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Well, we get there. I mean, you're doing a great job of breaking it down. No, I'm kind of. But I know. So I really pull my punches there, and then. When I do the ones on Friday night, I just nerd right out with Lonnie, our producer here. And she just kind of looks at me like, yes, we're great. Find us over on Twitch. Find him over on Twitch. Twitch
everywhere. Just put in Chris Machete. You'll find me. I'm doing all kinds of stuff, as well as drinking wine out of a Super Zuka glass here. Isn't that rad?
Almost as rad as this. Dun, 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 which you can find right? on our website for... Jeez. What would be like $10 or $20 or $79.99 or $89, whatever.
I don't know, man. I can't remember how much that costs, but we're moving up in the world.
We're moving up. We got this new sponsorship from Blue Microphones.
We do, and I got mine tonight. Thank you.
It looks great. That's the Blue Yeti X, which is killer. I'm just going to, talk about them for a minute because they've been really, really cool.
Do you have anybody that message you that we can give a prize away to? Because I thought I had Jay there, but he didn't mention like the question or anything. I don't know if he's still maybe he's still watching, listening and
no one's engaged. I haven't seen what's happening on our Twitch. We're gonna give them away on Friday. We'll give them away on Friday.
Okay,
but
I'm okay with that.
There's that. Brand new episode of the Brent on Tour podcast came out today. We had some coffee snobs and assholes on from North Carolina and Vancouver. Snobs.
Okay,
It was cool.
Wait, so wait, you got to break this down for me because I am not a coffee snob. I buy the cheapest coffee in Walmart.
Sure.
And I put it in my deal here. And I have one solid cup, but I have to have it.
Sure.
But I'm not picky about it.
Let me define it for you. As far as what I've discovered.
Right.
From what I've discovered. So when I came into coffee, the only coffee I'd ever drank in my whole life, like that someone had given to me, was like Tim Hortons, and it always tasted like shit. And I'm like, oh, this is coffee. I'm out. Like I'm just out. But then a couple of years ago, I was on tour, and I was out. I won't give up too many details, but I was out with a former Secret Service agent to a former president, and that Secret Service agent used to find all the best coffee in the world for that president.
Okay.
So as we went out, I was in Italy one time. I was very tired backstage. It was like a fucking 15-hour day and I was dying. And someone's like, you got to have an espresso, just bump it up. And I'm like, I'm not a big coffee guy. They're like, you know me, I was on the 5-hour energy drinks at that point. And I was like, they're like, you got to do the espresso. So I'm like, fine. So I go backstage. They have a barista backstage making fresh espresso, Italian. I was in Italy. I was in Milan. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I take the espresso and I'm like, my God, this is the greatest. Like, this was fantastic. It was just done perfectly. Coincidentally, right at that time, the said security agent, former Secret Service agent, said, oh, that's your first coffee? I'm like, my first real good coffee. He's like, well, we're off tomorrow in Milan, so we're going for a walk. So we went around and then I just started getting coffee. And then there's like an Americano, which is like an espresso shot.
And you didn't sleep for 5 days, but everything was awesome.
Hot water. And then there's just all these different things. And as you discover it, you start discovering the greatness of a fresh ground bean into a cup.
Okay.
And so it's like no different than a craft beer person or like a wine or a whiskey.
And the
or something.
beer. I'm dad beer. I'm like, yeah, you know that watery beer? That's
right.
Like
but you know how you know
4%?
everything about weed, Chris?
Yes.
You know how you know everything about weed?
Right.
That's what's happened to me with coffee from the standpoint of like starting to learn. But the thing is like an old friend of mine, I was just doing these like today's coffee brought to you by, and I was in Australia or I was in Paris and I would just film out this coffee shit. And people were like, well, where's your coffee today? It was the stupidest thing in the world. It would be like, it was just me doing an Instagram story on coffee. Mm-hmm. And then I stopped doing them for like a week and literally my Instagram blew up and people were like, what the fuck? What coffee do you have going on?
Wow.
And then a buddy of mine, Dave, a mutual friend, Dave Randall, a friend of mine that I used to work with in Port Perry, messaged me and said, hey, I'm doing this thing with the Blundell Network. You should write about trying to find good coffee around the world. And that's how it started. And I'm like, no one wants to fucking hear anyone talk about coffee. He's like, but didn't you say everyone was complaining you weren't making coffee stories? And as I started doing it, I started discovering, which I'm sure you've discovered with weed and all the rest of it, that community is massively supportive. That podcast that I watched you do on Blundell the other day with everybody, you guys were like
the doctor, she was fantastic. Yeah.
And you guys were like mechanics going on about, you could, decipher everything and break it down. So I made it a mission to try to find everything I could out about coffee but dumbing it down, like basically dumbing it right down to like, I've only just started drinking coffee. Mm-hmm. What are we going to, how do I show everyone else about it and dumb it down like me? So you come with me to Europe and I'm like, all right, we're going to go here and have this. And then I'm going to go here and show you this.
Okay. So mental note, if we're ever, when we get back and we can travel, if people see us somewhere, they go out for breakfast with you and they go out for dinner with me.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. They will. Cause it's been an amazing thing. And I've never, the crazy thing is that I get more interaction on my coffee shit than I do anything else. Even that's with going through the music, the travel and the life podcast with some massive guests. Everyone's like, well, when are you coming back to coffee? And that's what happened with Ellefson originally with Dave. We talked coffee. That's what connected us, which is like,
that was your kiss.
Like coffee,
that was your
coffee
kiss
has become my kiss. It's really connecting everybody in the world.
I have to have my coffee in the morning, but I'm not picky about it. Like I'm not a coffee asshole at all. Oh wait, no, you know what? And I apologize.
Until you have a great one, Chris, and then you're fucked.
Well, I had a really bad one time when we were visiting out your way there. Wow, was it bad?
I don't know where you
went.
Where'd you go?
That's the only time I've ever had a really bad cup of coffee. I'm not going to go into detail about it, but I think it was like a man's coffee, if you know what I mean. Like the whole like, oh, it's just going to be black and like triple caffeine, and it just tasted horrible. But it was meant to wake you up. You know what? The only purpose of this coffee was just to wake you up, kind of thing, and deal with the day, I guess. But it was not good at all. But no, I buy the cheapest coffee, but I have to have it. So that's what my point of that was, like, you know.
Well, that's the whole point of this show, was like I pulled a guy in. These two guys that have a podcast called the Coffee Snobs podcast out of North Carolina, and then there's a guy called the Vancouver Coffee Snob out here who actually built a whole Instagram page where he just reviews coffee around Vancouver. But there is a certain amount of, the guy wrote about it on Blundell, there's a certain amount of like anything else, it's like, oh, you're drinking that, right? Oh, there's a whole like, or
the beer thing's the same way, right? Like
whatever. So that's the question.
I go to a craft beer event and it's like, what's your wateriest beer? And they're like, oh, how did you get in here? You know, like I'm the same.
So that's why I'm trying to dumb this down, where I'm like, cool, I have these guys, I have these guys on, and I go, no. We're not. I mean, we can talk portafilters and we can talk this and that. I'm like, sure. But everyone listening to this is literally walking this with me. Yeah. No one's coming here to learn about fucking too many things. They're going to learn about how to drink it better.
I think I need a coffee brand. So if somebody's out there and wants to hook me up and have me try something, like if I'm in Kingston, so if you're close to that and you want to
have a coffee show with
I'll just drink roasters. It. Like maybe one time, instead of drinking all this wine, because I was so nervous about talking to Dave, then I will drink coffee instead.
I just had a guest on out of Ottawa called the Artery Roasters. They only hire people with disabilities.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Fantastic episode. I don't care. You don't have to be even interested in coffee to appreciate the story. It was great. Yeah. It was really great.
I'll get behind that for sure.
I keep we keep the tech stuff down. It's like, where's your favorite region? Stuff like that. Anyways, I'm working on coffee brands. So we'll
should we just keep talking for like 3 hours here or what?
Why not? But yes, anyways, the long form answer to that question is coffee started organically for me, and now it's actually turned into something. So it's a weirdest thing.
Again, I love coffee, but I'm not picky about it. So I need the hook, I think, Brent. I need somebody to send me that hook, because I'll go out and I'll be like, I'm not spending $20 on like a bag of coffee beans. It's that kind of thing too, right? Because we're coming out of a shutdown. So when you go out, you got to cut down on things. So there's got to be a reason for me to want to.
The biggest thing for me was once I discovered,
I'm just trying to get free coffee.
We'll get some coffee. Don't worry. That's working. But the biggest thing for me is once I discovered a freshly ground coffee in front of you.
Yes.
And then turned into a coffee right there.
Right.
It's over. It's over. I can't do it. My mom's got like the Folgers freeze dried. Everything is like, I've had to bring her in on it. It just kind of.
I can't do the freeze dried. That's one thing I cannot do. Okay, wait, maybe I'm kind of a coffee snob. Okay, if I was to be a coffee snob, you remember the stuff Zig used to have, that instant stuff? Oh, no.
Maxwell House.
Like, and he would just microwave some of it too, right? Like just, oh my God. Yeah, okay. That's my.
We'll get you there. What are you working with at home? You got a percolator, or you got what do you got at home?
Well, we have the squishy thing.
The French press.
Yeah, but it's so much to clean. It's a pain in the ass. So I just have an $8 coffee maker from Walmart, man, and it's fine. And I like it. Like, I have no complaints. That's the thing. Is that? But so again,
I'm gonna get you an AeroPress.
Let's get a company that will give me a reason to drink coffee. I'm looking at Deadly Grounds in Oshawa, man.
Sounds like a good plan. But same thing.
I'm also looking at Monster Energy drinks. I'm looking at Bally pinball machines, Marvel Comics.
A few different things.
We got Super Zuka though, Brent.
Yes, we do. And we got blue microphones. And we got blue microphones.
So see, we just keep chatting because we don't see each other much anymore, and it's just really nice to talk. So we should probably stop, I guess, huh?
Well, I got to cut a little promo for blue.
Oh, let's do the blue promo, because, man, this mic is spectacular. Really, really good.
It's really, really good. The only thing is that I have to find it. So you can tell another story, because they sent some stuff, but then they forgot.
Give me a topic. Give me a subject.
Let's go. The Big Show to AEW. Go.
Oh, wow. So Big Show, who has basically been, WWE, WCW back and forth, is now going to AEW, who is scooping up everybody that's awesome. Another one though that did go to WWE was Taya Valkyrie, and I really like her. I think she's fantastic. Just her and that Blanchard girl. What was the Blanchard girl though? Tessa. Wow, Taya and her had some amazing matches. I would have rather seen her go to AEW, but she's gone to WWE. We'll see what she can do with what she's given there. Hopefully, they let her just be her own character, that Latina, suicide machine that just goes in there and kicks the crap out of people, table bombs everything. Very ECW style is what I like about her, big time. I thought she was great, really, really cool. And then to have Big Show, Paul White in AEW. Again, you were joking about having Vince McMahon involved over there, right? Well, there's your spy, Brent. There he is.
I always get it. I'm on this zone right now. I'm throwing it out there to
That's
everybody.
him.
Out
He's
there.
your spy,
I'm throwing
man.
it
He's
out
your spy
there,
right there.
And I'm saying, right
and
now,
I'm still saying that Edge should be Sabretooth in the new X-Men movies. I have so much comic book footage to prove that. And is Edge going to be the next champion? Well, we're trying to end our podcast. And I'm throwing out these amazing things.
No,
take that, Mike.
I mean,
take that, Mike.
Is Edge going to be the new champion?
Yes.
I think the only way you write that properly, and I touched on this a couple of weeks ago,
right?
Is I think you need to have a turn on him. Someone's got to turn on him. And then it's going to be a 1 year build up to next year when there's actually 70,000 people in the building, and then he wins it then and then retires the next night if he wants to, or he can keep wrestling for 5 years. But if I'm writing it and he's planning on maybe
no,
like heading out, I'm writing.
Dude, your wrestling age is. I watched the Von Erichs documentary here earlier today. Like he's like, is it the kind of thing? And no disrespect to Edge, but is it the kind of thing that he needs to get the title now, or if they risk a year of him wrestling, is he going to get injured?
I mean, that's a good question, but I think
isn't it? Yeah,
it's a good question, but I think that the thing is, Adam doesn't need the belt. He doesn't. But established career. He's got that established career to put somebody over. But I think that if he's going to go out his way again, to me, if I'm writing his story,
right.
If I'm writing his story, he's going to get close this year. Something's going to cause him not to win it. He's got to spend a year trying to get it back. And then next year at WrestleMania, he wins it all.
That'd be wild.
The next Monday night, he's like, I did it my way. And here's the belt. And I'm officially done.
That would be great.
That's what I'm writing, but no one listens to me. So
but Vince McMahon's like, we need this now. See, I don't, going opposite of him being involved in AEW. Vince McMahon's like, we need this now. Let's make Edge a champion right now. Like, I just think he'd be like, okay, well, and how many people would get behind Edge being the champion though? Like, he's a real wrestler. You know what I mean? Like, he's like It
would be lovely to see, but I think that
he hasn't phoned it in at this point, right? He's a
smart boy, so he's got something cooking. He's got something cooking.
Well, it's going to be Sabretooth.
Right, I can't find a script. I can't find a script yet. It was there. Blue microphones. Thank you so much for giving us our shit. The Mixify headphones, everything, sorting everybody out. Kids on the Escalator. Find us on all the things. Share, like, do everything. Keep posting your horror movies. We're gonna give away passes on Friday after Chris's WandaVision recap and to the Kingston Canadian Film Festival, or maybe we'll do it tomorrow. Whoever does it first is gonna win. And that was a big, giant episode. We covered a lot of shit.
That was amazing.
Dave Ellefson, thank you so much.
Yeah, Dave, you rule, buddy. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but so back to WandaVision. Here's a question for dudes who are married. Do you ever feel like you're living in your wife's WandaVision?
I would say.
Do you know how many men just went, "Oh my god, dude"?
I would say guys that didn't pre-screen their wife before they marry them are.
No, it's just.
I'm just saying, when you're in this scenario where it's like, shouldn't we have asked a few of these questions before we were married? Then I wouldn't be having this problem now, 20 years later. Yeah, that's what's going on there.
All right, I got it.
That's what's going on there.
I'm doing awesome.
All right, buddy. Good to see you next week, everybody. We're back with something. Some kind of big episode. It's happening.
I think we should do a Kiss episode. Oh, that's what we should do, is have a voter thing on that. Pick a couple subjects.
We got to do one, but we got to wait for the fellas to get out of the studio.
Yeah. Lonnie's kicking me off. She's like, stop talking.
Fellas are making some records. All right, everybody, we're out. Thanks so much.
Good
Till
times.
next week. Rad dudes.
Okay, so for the past few months, there's been this huge surge of missing persons reports, and it's all homeless people.
I mean, the whole thing's been blown way out of proportion.
But the hook is nobody gives a shit. What we're doing is building awareness, to see if we can find out what the fuck happened to these people.
Some people moved underground. It didn't work out.
Yeah, I remember hearing about them. The stories that circulated, the undergrounders.
There were a ton of us. A whole community scattered all over the sewer system. Then us missing homeless started going missing. The sightings started happening, and I got the fuck back up here and lived every day trying to forget what I heard and saw.
Which was?
The manifestation of everything you never want to see in a near pitch black tunnel.
Turn the fucking camera on now, James. When I say capture everything, you capture fucking everything, okay? Everything!